you're part of the solution every day. That's all I'd ever ask. And if anybody asks you any more than that, they're really asking you for too much. That's really all you should be asked to do. Because that's all we ask anybody else to do. And you should be held to no different standard just because you've had a bump in the road, because you've had a challenge, because you've needed help. No, it's not the worst thing in the world to need some help. We all need it sometimes. So I'm glad this place is here to do that with you all. And I'm sure that as you go forward, this place will continue to be really special to you even when you are not a day-to-day in the facility part of it. And I'm sure you'll figure out ways to have them help do that. And that's really good too. So what else am I missing?
Well, we are just blessed to have you here. And I think it was 5 years ago, and you were standing out on my front lawn, and you talked about a commitment to really making a difference with women and children and people in general who are suffering with substance use disorders. And I said then, and it's even bigger now, you don't just talk the talk, you walk it, you do it. And it's huge. I can't tell you. I mean, it's just, we're blessed to have you as our governor.
Thanks. And hey, listen, it's part of what makes the job worthwhile. Believe me, there's lots of parts of this job that suck. It really does. That just suck. I have to tell you. These are the good days. These are the really good days. Today is, like I've been keeping count now because when you're close to the end, you keep count. So today is my 2,802nd day as governor. I have 118 days to go. And that puts two different types of emotions on you, right? The first one is, oh God, it's almost over. Right? Because 8 years of this is a long time. It's a long time. And especially in a state like this, it's a long time. But the other part is I've got 118 days left to have that feeling that I tell people I have when I wake up in the morning, that I have an opportunity to do something really great today. And so, you know, thank you for saying that we're blessed. I've always felt that this job has been, despite some of the more difficult days, the great days way, way outnumber the difficult ones. And I've had a chance to do things that other people only dream about, right? So, heck, you're not gonna hear me complain too much about it, right? And so, if you feel blessed, that's great, because all I've wanted to do, especially in this space, is to try to give hope to people, and to make that hope tangible, right? Everybody can talk, like you said. You know, you find very few people, there are some, who still don't understand this. And more people in our society than you would imagine. You know, when I do the advertising that we've been doing on this and urging people to reach out for help and all the rest of it, and I say in those ads, addiction is a disease. I will tell you that in the responses that we get, like on my social media, whether it's on Twitter or on Facebook, like 40% of it is that people attack me for saying that. This is not a disease, it's a choice. And these people are getting what they get because they chose. We got to get that number down to like 5%, 10%, because there'll always be 5 or 10% of really ignorant people in the world, and we can't ever change that. And we kind of like having them around, because if you've got 5 or 10% ignorant people, it just helps you feel smarter. You know, if everybody was smart, you couldn't feel that smart. But you have some really stupid people around, it's good, because it makes you feel a little bit better. I'm like, all right, I'm not him. That's good. I'm above that. But we've got to change that point of view. We have to change that point of view. This is a disease, and a chronic disease, and one that has its roots in lots of different causes. But in the end, you don't deserve treatment that's any less effective and any less available than somebody who has diabetes, or somebody who has heart disease, or somebody who has Alzheimer's. I mean, it's no different. It's just a different type of disease, but it's no different. And I think that people, we're going to continue. We're going up with another ad campaign starting, I think, in a week or so, and we're going to continue. Now that I saw, and this is what you know about me, now that I saw that 40% of the people attacked me for saying addiction is a disease, I say it again. I said all the ads, and they said, "Do you want to change this?" I'm like, "No." They go, "Well, we maybe have a bit of a different message." I said, "No. I want to continue to annoy people. Let's annoy those people and make them think." Because that reaction of saying that this is not a disease, that reaction of saying, yeah, everybody makes bad choices. Everybody, every one of us, anybody in this room, raise your hand if you've never made a bad choice. okay? When those bad choices involve drugs or alcohol, the ramifications are different. But man, I made plenty of bad choices in my life, and I'm just fortunate that I didn't make them regarding something that was gonna markedly change my life in a way that was gonna be very difficult for me to deal with, right? So, okay, I don't disagree with people that it's a bad choice. I'm sure you sit around the table, if you had a chance to make the choice again, would make a different choice, right? This was not the greatest choice in the world, all right? But does that mean that you're doomed for the rest of your life? Just doesn't, shouldn't. And part of what we're gonna try to change, and part of what you will help to change, as examples, is this sense from people that, well, if you have a drug or alcohol problem, you're getting what you deserve. But just doesn't make any sense to me. And I think when you show through your success in dealing with your recovery in a positive and successful way, and that you're working at it every day and you're contributing in other ways and all the rest of that, it's gonna, I think, eventually make people think, a good thing someone there, not everybody gave up on Alyssa. Good thing not everybody gave up on Rachel, because wow, look at this now. They're actually doing really great things. And I'm glad we didn't give up on them. That's what I'm trying to get across to people. I say to folks all the time, there but for the grace of God go I, and I absolutely believe it. I believe it in my heart that I could be sitting where you're sitting if I had made different choices or been exposed to different traumas or had other things that happened in my life that would have put me in that spot. And I wouldn't be the governor. I'd be doing something completely different. Right? So, okay. If you really believe that in your heart, which I do, then you have an obligation to help and to give people a chance to turn their lives around. And this place is doing it for you, and that's really great. And don't give in. Don't give in to other people's low expectations of you. Don't give in to the traumas of the past. Deal with them and deal with them effectively. And don't give in to anybody telling you that you're any less than what you believe in your heart you are. You do that, it's gonna be good. Yeah.
I think that knowledge is, more than half the battle, and firsthand because you do come and you do talk to us. And if these people had family members that have gone through this, they would think it differently, because a disease, it has the character, it has symptoms, it is treatable, it's not curable. So we're gonna have to work on this for the rest of our lives. But having gone through this, I think that we will have such a more of an appreciation of life than anybody, because we have seen the worst of life. And to make it through this and being so down and coming out the other end and being able to pass it on to other people, that's the 12th step, is to help other recovering addicts. And that's the best gift that you can give, and for our children, who is the next generation, to know about it, and be educated.
Amen. That's exactly right. And believe me, this is like almost anything else in life, right? People can afford to be a little bit ignorant and a little bit sanctimonious about it when it hasn't come into their house. Man, once it does, like I went down and opened a treatment center down in Shrewsbury in Monmouth County, and it was like 2 blocks or 3 blocks away from a middle school, and I had all these group of parents protesting at the ribbon cutting and screaming at me, screaming me down from my speech, because they didn't want this there, because somehow they thought that the people who went in there were lesser than them and were a threat to their children. And so finally I got kind of just tired of being yelled at. I know you've never seen me do that before. I'm tired of being yelled at. And I just turned to them and said, let me tell you, you're yelling and protesting now, but when one of your children needs this place, you're going to be glad it's here. Mm-hmm. And they got even angrier then. But we know statistically, this isn't saying making any commentary on any one of those people, I didn't know any of them. This isn't saying somehow I know what's going on in your house, therefore one of your kids is going to wind up here. We just know statistically that given the level of addiction in our state, in our country, that with a group of 50 parents there, the overwhelming likelihood is one of them is going to wind up having a child who winds up having to deal with this issue. Then I can guarantee you their attitude about all this will be incredibly different. The availability of treatment, the way people stigmatize those who are asking for help, they won't want that to happen to their child. Once your child, it becomes a whole different thing. Right? What I'm trying to encourage by talking about this so much publicly is to not have to wait for that moment. Now, I said to one of the parents, because I walked over to the group and they give me a hard time one-on-one, and I said to this one guy, you should learn about this now. You don't get any more money for being stupid longer. It's just like you can be stupid for a period of time, it's okay, but it doesn't benefit you to be stupid longer. People need to understand that this is something that can happen to them. And once that happens, everybody's attitude becomes a little bit different, right? Everybody's willingness to understand, everybody's willingness to be helpful, everyone's willingness to step up themselves becomes different if they feel like it could happen to them. It's not just some anonymous person. One of the great things that I've learned in having meetings like this is that you can continue to emphasize to people, if you're sitting where I'm sitting, that I value you and your lives every bit as much as I value anybody else's. And in a lot of ways, I have admiration for your will and your strength to be able to confront your problems and not give in to them. And so, you can look at this a whole bunch of different ways if you want. But I will tell you, if any of those parents who were standing there in Shrewsbury screaming and yelling at me were standing in this room right now, more than I ever could, you'd turn them around. That's why I want you to be talking about this when you're comfortable and as you're comfortable. Because I can try as much as I can with TV ads to break down the stigma, and it'll help. But the ultimate thing that will break down the stigma in this is for them to look at you and recognize that in your eyes, in your faces, they see themselves. They see their own children. They see their own spouses, their own brothers and sisters. Once that happens, man, understanding starts to really grow and openness starts to come. And that's what we're trying to do here. So it's not just about starting programs that will help people who are in the throes of addiction now. It is part of that. But it is to try to make sure that we lessen the suffering. And I'm sure with some of you around this table, it took you a while to be willing to reach out and ask for help. Right? So wouldn't it be great if we could shorten that period of time?
Oh, yeah.
Right? If we could shorten the period of time where, because if you've got, chest pains, or if you've got, pain in your feet or your ankles, and it's not like you don't go to the doctor and say, I've got the chest pain, don't worry about it. I mean, some people do, but most people go, okay, I got chest pain, I better go to the doctor, right? Because we don't stigmatize that. Like you're weak, or you're bad, or but we do know, by the way, that like a lot of our own behaviors contribute to heart disease, right? People who smoke contribute to heart disease. People who eat too much contribute to the heart disease. People who eat bad things contribute to the heart disease. We know there are human activities that contribute to that, to diabetes, to all these other things. Yet we don't say, and I use my own mother as an example all the time. My mother died of lung cancer. She smoked for 55 years. When she got sick, nobody came to me and said, "Wow, Chris, she's smoking for 55 years. She's getting what she deserved." No one said that. They went, "Oh God, what can we do to help? What doctors is she seeing? What treatment is she getting?" Everybody wanted to, let's go and see her, we'll pray for her. Oh. Now, if my mother was a heroin addict, I don't know if the same reaction would have come. Right? I think that's where we need to move this to, is to acknowledge that human activity contributes to a lot of this different stuff. So let's stop judging, right? The disease is disease. Let's try to treat it and get you to a point where you can deal with it from day to day. And live it. We saw the same thing with AIDS, by the way. Right in the beginning, nobody wanted to go near anybody with AIDS. Nobody wanted to treat people with AIDS because, well, except for the ones that got, the innocent ones who got it from a blood transfusion, right? All the other people, well, they knew what they were doing when they did it, and they knew that they were at risk, and they're promiscuous, and they're IV drug users, or they're homosexual, and so they kind of knew what they were getting themselves into. It wasn't until all kinds of family members and families all across this country started having that death sentence, that we turned HIV/AIDS from a deadly disease to a chronic disease in 20 years. That's why I met with the pharmaceutical companies on Monday, and I said to them, we have to do the same thing. You gotta stop giving all people all these opioids. Stop. And we have to come up with non-opioid relief for pain, and we need to come up with more medication-assisted treatment to help people who need that and who can be helped by that. Right? And you guys have an obligation to do that. The same way you have an obligation to help with the AIDS crisis, you have an obligation now. This is the public health crisis of our time. So that's the stuff I get to do. That's the stuff that makes me get up in the morning and say, like, all right, this is my role. I get to do this. You keep doing what you're doing. You do your job, I'll do mine. We'll see if we can continue to help each other. Anything else anybody want to tell me before I get out of your way and let you go back to doing what you do every day?
I would like to say something. You just heard 5 stories of the model that we have created here is having good outcomes. I know you're really focused on outcomes, and we have even statistics to show that how we're doing this. Working on a trauma-informed model, creating a nurtured heart environment, getting away from the punitive approach to addiction treatment. I firmly believe, and I think at CGE we do that. Addiction can't be punitive. Addiction treatment can be punitive because we have to invite people and collaborate with them. We're doing something very different here and spending a lot of time trying to educate other treatment providers about our model so that we can provide a better treatment experience. People actually want to be in treatment. People don't want to be in treatment sometimes. It's like, not so nice.
No.
So I wanted just to point out that we're doing it different here, and we're going to continue to do that and spread the word. So you guys are all a great example. I'm listening to your stories going, oh, it's working.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why I came back.
Absolutely.
I mean, like, I'm not here by mistake. It's not like I went, I got no place else to go, I'll come to Center for Great Expectations. It's not a mistake. This is like when I decided to do these new programs, and we sat down and talked about where do you want to go, I said, I want to go back there. Because I want to reward success. And I want you all to know, although you already knew well before I walked in the door, how lucky you are to be here. Mm-hmm. What a great gift this is. To have people willing to take risks, because by the way, doing it differently is a risk.
Mm-hmm.
It's a risk. Okay? So
when Debbie came 8 years ago, and I said this the last time you were here, so in July, and some of you know this, you don't, you knew, I celebrated 29 years of recovery. And so my lens was 12-step, off with your heads. And so when Debbie started, I was like, oh my God, what is she doing? But it is extraordinary, and it's groundbreaking, and we're gonna share it.
yeah. And we're going to make sure it gets shared.
Can I also just say something about the Nurture Heart? It's something that I was able to bring into my home for my children. And like Colleen said, is to break the cycle. And I think that's helped me break the cycle.
It's great.
So.
It's great, and it is an understanding of the fact that none of us come to a particular place in our lives without carrying with us the baggage of where we've been. I mean, sometimes the baggage is good, but but we're all carrying stuff. We're all carrying stuff that we bring with us from our past experiences, and it informs the way we make decisions, the way we make judgments, the way we have our values carry forward, right? And all that stuff is part of it. So the fact that by being here, if you all can grab a hold of that, it will help you in all other aspects of your life too. Like, it just won't be about, okay, well, this is important for me in my recovery. It always will be. But if you have those values are going to help you at work. Those values are going to help you raising your children. Those values are going to help you in your own personal relationships, whether it's with a spouse and partner, or whether it's with another family member. Because the trauma that you brought with you, as you learn to deal with it, that can help you look at those people in your rearview mirror in a much different way too, which can be much more understanding, much more productive, and less destructive to what you want to do with your future. So I think it's a great model. I think it's really good. And to me, it makes perfect sense. I spoke to people who disagree, and that's okay. People can disagree, but if they want to disagree, tell them just show me the results, that's all. Like, I'm willing to let people do the other things other ways, but show me that you're helping people, because I'm tired of paying people who are supposed to be helping people, and they're not helping them. So I'm happy to pay more money to people who are helping people, but I'm tired of spending money on things that don't work. Because when it doesn't work, people die. So that's not where we want to head. So you guys have a great day today. Enjoy your day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing with me. I appreciate it very much. And remember what I said in the beginning, you know, you're the ones who have built what we're doing. It's these stories, it's this interaction that makes me go back and think about, okay, what did I learn today? And what, based off of what they taught me, can I make sure we try to do differently? And so if you like this stuff, congratulations.
Thank you.
You helped to
for
build
making
it.
possible.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And
Very grateful to you.
go do what you need to do and feel good about yourselves. You know, each one of you. Feel good about what you're doing for yourself, first and foremost. And that self-confidence and that feeling of self-worth, that makes you dangerous, man. And when you walk around with confidence and self-worth, you're a dangerous human being in a really good way. Because you can really make change in your life, in the lives of your children, and in the lives of everybody around you. When you carry around that feeling that you're special, that you've got something to offer, you've got something to give that comes from you. Not that anybody gave you, not your parents, not a husband, not a boyfriend, not even your children. That resides inside you. And I absolutely believe that everybody's got that. It's all different, but everybody's got it. It's a matter of whether we can get it out there or not. So go get it, all right? It's good to see you all.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
I just want to point out, Mark has done it from Valley College.